Welcome to the Dayton Branch NAACP monthly community meeting. This meeting is going to be centered around Dayton City Commission candidates, and it's going to be moderated by none other than our second vice president who serves as our political acting chair, former state senator Tom Roberts. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome. Now, I'm missing a white bag that has some water in it, so you're sitting next to a white bag. I think it's from there it is, WYS, so that has water in it. We're going to do this. I normally ask people to submit questions, but today I'm going to let you ask questions. So you don't accuse me of getting your questions wrong. But I do that because I want questions asked and not speeches. So if you have a question for the candidates, I want you to come here, I'll give you a mic, and I want you to ask the question. Now, it really doesn't mind pulling you off the stage if you go too long. So make sure you ask a question, because that's why the candidates are here. And I'll begin by asking each one of the candidates, in answering this question, to give a detail about who you are. Thank you. We do have the traditional green, yellow is 30 seconds, and red is stop. And really will pull you off the stage. So in the questions will be 2 minutes, most of them, unless I run out of time, and then I will go less than that. But in this 2-minute answer, tell us about yourself, but why should we elect you, City Commission, over somebody else? Why should we elect you to the City Commission over somebody else? And let's start this way and go down. Start, and tell us your name. That's the first thing you want to do. Tell us your name.
Tom.
Yes, hold on.
How many minutes?
Say it again.
How many minutes?
2. 2 minutes. Okay. And you will be getting a yellow card at 30 seconds. Okay? Go ahead.
So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight, see your faces. Thank you to the fellow candidates. Good to see everybody. My name is Darius Beckham, lifelong Daytonian. I am the youngest son of 3 brothers. My parents are in the room, so glad they could be here tonight as well. I am running because I believe I can bring experienced, youthful, new ideas and energy to the Dayton City Commission. I have 4 years experience in the mayor's office. I graduated from the University of Dayton with a bachelor's in political science and sociology, and went back to get my master's in public administration. So I've really dedicated my entire career thus far to public service. I've been in nonprofit leadership as well. I served nearly a year with Whole Hunger Initiative in town fighting food insecurity in the community, and today I serve as board chair of Omega Community Development Corporation as well. I am running on a platform of 3 specific priorities: neighborhood investment, public safety, and economic justice. And I believe those 3 priorities are what the city needs at this moment. I do believe I can offer a new voice that is young and inexperienced and can take a fresh look at Dayton's systems, at our current programs, at our current initiatives, and if not scale them, but bring in new ideas as well. So it's good to be here with you all tonight. I'm looking forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. This is so exciting. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you to Tom, the NAACP, for hosting this important event. My name is Karen Wick, and I'm running for Dayton City Commission because I'm committed to serving our community. For 27 years, I've had the privilege and honor to operate a small business in the city of Dayton. I've raised both of my kids here and sent them to Dayton Public Schools very intentionally. I've served 2 terms on the school board, where I've worked to turn big ideas into realities. I'm specifically proud of the work that we did at Welcome Stadium. This not only provided a state-of-the-art facility for our students, which they so richly deserve, it also honored a very important legacy piece of our community, and it also created an economic engine that will continue to serve our community for years to come. Now, I'm ready to bring that same service of commitment to problem-solving approach to Dayton City Commission. On the commission, I'll focus on 3 priorities that I know matter to every family. First, tackle rising costs of housing and mental illness. These are safety and security issues for all of our community and family. Second, we need to strengthen our neighborhoods through local leadership. And when I say local leadership, that's the people that live in the neighborhoods. Nobody knows what those neighborhoods need better than the people that actually live there. And third, we must invest in our businesses by continuing to make sure that our city services align with what those businesses need by cutting red tape and making sure all of our processes are up to date. I'm running for City Commission because Dayton is positioned for amazing growth over the next several years. And these are opportunities that I want to make sure that all of our residents enjoy, and I want to be a part of that growth and development. So thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for being in attendance tonight. I likewise want to thank the NAACP for hosting this event and Grace United Methodist Church for opening this beautiful venue to us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jacob Davis. I'm a proud resident of Northwest Dayton. I'm the son of a retired, loud, and proud UAW worker and member. I'm a first-generation college graduate and University of Dayton alum, and I'm also a lawyer and small business owner in the city of Dayton. My law firm is located in the McPherson neighborhood, just outside of downtown Dayton, where I have the privilege and honor to represent small businesses, nonprofits, fair housing organizations, and consumers as well. Before I went into private practice, I worked for the City of Dayton Human Relations Council, where I was responsible for enforcing the city's anti-discrimination ordinances, and then I also served on the Police Reform Oversight Committee. I'm running for Dayton City Commission because I truly believe that I can make a difference. I also believe that I can shake things up with the current commission. I bring a unique skill set and experience to the position. Think about this. It's been 2 decades since we've had an attorney on the city commission. And I'm as big of a fan as you all with attorney jokes, but there is something to be said for the profession in navigating complex issues, negotiation, and mediating tough disputes, all things that come in handy as a city commissioner. I'm running with 3 core priorities: people, neighborhoods, and local protections. Every decision I make, I'm going to focus on the benefits to families, consumers, workers, and tenants, and small business owners. Every policy that comes before me, I'm going to look at neighborhood beautification, development, sustainability. If it doesn't do those 3 things for our neighborhoods, I'm likely going to have a hard time supporting it. And then lastly, I want to talk about local protections for consumers, workers, tenants, homeowners, and individual rights, which are under threat at the local and federal level. I hope that as we go throughout this process, I can earn your support. Thank you.
Hello. Let me stand up. Is this my phone? Okay. My name is Valerie Duncan, and thank you all for coming out to the NAACP forum for the candidates for the Dayton City Commission. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've lived in Dayton since high school. I am from parents of blue-collar workers. Both of my parents and my heritage is Hispanic. Most of my relatives are in Mexico, but there are a few that came up in Chicago during the Depression. I graduated from the high school, Wilbur Wright High School, and then went on to college. I have an undergraduate degree in urban affairs. Then I had a paralegal degree from Sinclair College and a graduate degree from the University of Dayton. What brought me the interest that I have in the community was through high school. We were taught the 3 branches of government. We were taught the Constitution, and that drew me into politics. I didn't know that it was called politics at the time. My goal for the city of Dayton is to be a peacemaker. We need to bring our city commission together so that we work together on issues that are important for the city of Dayton. And I also bring the experience. I have 32 years of experience working for the city of Dayton. I'm familiar with all the processes and procedures for the budget and for the union collective bargaining tools that we need, and also to help our neighborhoods. I want to make sure that everyone, all the neighborhoods benefit from all the dollars that we have coming to Dayton. Thank you.
My name is Darryl Fairchild, and it's good to be home. Over 35 years ago, I was a student pastor here at Grace United Methodist Church. So many of you know me from the ministry in the community, the work I've done, nonprofit work for Greater Dayton, Christian Connections, and Lift Greater Dayton. Many of you have worked with me in those endeavors where we work to try to improve our neighborhood and our community. You also, I'm a native Daytonian, thoroughly Daytonian. My father worked at NCR, my mother was a diploma nurse at Miami Valley Hospital. So two of our old institutions that really shaped Dayton and have shaped me. I'm running again for Dayton City Commission because not only do I have priorities, but I have accomplishments in each of those priorities. When I joined the City Commission, we did not have a plan for the city. We now have a plan. We have a plan for each of our neighborhoods, a vision for our neighborhoods. We have a plan for housing. These are things that I advocated and worked for and we got accomplished. We also worked to get dedicated funding in the last tax levy that we had. So people want to talk about investing in housing. I've worked, so we do invest in housing. I also have an accomplishment on young people. With Commissioner Turner Sloss and myself, we worked and advocated to get funding for our young people. And we got $1 million in our last budget cycle. And finally, in the midst of an uncertain time when federal decisions are going to impact the city in very important ways, I'm going to work to protect our basic services, our police, fire, water, trash pickup, our roads, so that you will be able to live in a safe community. That's why I asked for your vote on May 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. The second question, I think David Fox belong to the Montgomery County Jail Coalition. And the coalition first came about prior to the pandemic to look at the overcrowdedness in the county jail. And I think there was a decent job in reducing the jail population. Now it's starting to creep up. Part of the problem is we don't have efficient services in the community for drug and alcohol. As a city commissioner, what would you do to improve or push for more drug and alcohol or treatment, mental health treatment in the community, and less reliance on the county jail as the institution to house these individuals? And we'll start this way and go the opposite way, then we'll start in the middle the next time, okay? If you have any questions, start to line up there because the questions are next.
Thank you, Honorable Roberts. It's a great question. It's an important question. We're asking our jails and our police to do too much in this area, from my perspective. One of the things we need to do is work with our county commissioners because they're the ones who receive the human service levies that pay for those type of services primarily. And so we need to work with them and help prioritize these services. One of the things that I advocated for when we did our police reform was for a team of mental health professionals who could go out and intervene in some of these situations where the police don't need to be involved, where it's safe for them to be there and to interact with people who might have addiction or mental health issues. Unfortunately, which is too true of our city commission times, we only go halfway. And so instead of getting mental health workers to go out and do this work, we settled for our mediation team to go out and do that work. And it's unfortunate because there are models all around the country where if you put a mental health professional out there, you get to see better outcomes. Now, it also raises the question, and this is where as a community we need to work together. If you're going to have those mental health professionals going out, you need to have the resources and the locations to divert those people to, so they're not entering into the jail and other criminal justice services, but rather going in to get services for their mental health needs and their addiction needs.
Thanks for that question. Now, there is a coalition, a jail coalition, that is working on this, and they have been meeting, or attempting to meet with the county commission. And I think they've also have attempted to talk to the city commission. Originally, the county commission came up with a plan to come up with a new facility, but that has been drawn back. There are mental health issues, there's homeless issues, there's issues of drug addiction, and so unfortunately, some of these people end up on the street. They get arrested for some petty offense, and they already have some kind of mental issue. They already have some drug issue, but they need treatment for the drugs, for the mentally ill conditions that they have. But right now, the jail system that we have, it's Montgomery County, and it does get through the Montgomery County Human Service Levy funds for the mentally ill and for the drug treatment, but they're not adequate. It's not adequate. There's too many of those inmates that fall into the cracks. We need to look at our entire human service programs so that the homeless are served, the mentally ill, and the drug addicted people also.
Well, thank you for that question. I think there's multiple things that we have to do. One is we have to talk to our community partners. Far too often it feels like when the community comes out to speak at a commission meeting, they're not always heard. So we have to first listen, understand the issue, and then create innovative solutions to fix the problem. Some of our service providers have already told us what the issue is with them. We've got to cut red tape to make it easier to operate in the city of Dayton. We're not the experts as commissioners. There are people out in the community who do this work on a daily basis. Not only do we have to incorporate what they're asking for, but we also have to make it easier for them to operate. As Commissioner Fairchild referenced, oftentimes we also only go half the way. There were some good things that came out of the community police reform effort back in 2020 and 2021. Certainly trying to de-escalate certain situations is one of them, but we do need to have real professionals going out and intervening in some of these calls. The last thing I want to just reference is mental health is really, it touches on so many other issues, right? We can never fix this issue unless we touch on other things. We have to tackle generational poverty. We have to have policies that help with housing stability in our neighborhoods. We have to make it more affordable to live in the city of Dayton. We've got to make it easier for people who have been arrested and incarcerated and serve their time. We've got to make it easier for them to come back into society. And we can do that, for example, with a fair chance ordinance, by adding criminal records protections to our local ordinances that make it easier for people to work in the city of Dayton and to live in the city of Dayton as they return to society. I think we have to be listeners. We have to listen to the service providers who are already doing the work, and then certainly look at local protections to see what we can do from an ordinance perspective to help those people returning back to society.
Thank you to all my colleagues. Mental illness is real. The crises that we're facing in today's world. I think that in this situation, working with City Commission, I'm a relationship person. We need to make sure that all of our relationships are aligned, whether they're with our mental health care providers, whether they're with our our overcrowded prison systems, whether they're with our county partnerships, our regional partnerships, to make sure that all of the dollars are being funded to help the city of Dayton face the crisis that we have. This is a safety issue as well. I know we all want to feel safe in our community, and walking in the streets and feeling safe is a real issue. Years ago, many of the facilities were closed, so a lot of these individuals, they don't have the resources, and they certainly don't have the capacity to guide themselves toward these treatment centers. I think that we could build and expand on some of our mediation services. And again, this is all relational work. This is working with all of the agencies, all of the stakeholders, which is all of us in our neighborhoods, in our downtown area, to make sure that all of the funding is provided, that we can provide resources for these spaces, work with our prisons more closely to see that we're rehabilitating people, not just treating a problem, but really rehabilitating people. And for me, that all comes through communication. I think that oftentimes we get in silos and we think that other people should fix the problems, and it really is about all of us coming together all of the time to continue to work on the solutions, because the solutions are going to continue. The problem is never ending. We just have to keep talking, we have to keep providing resources, and we keep have to doing what we can to make better. Thank you.
So I think Mr. Fox asked this question. I just want to say thank you for the question, sir, because we do know we lack mental health resources in the city of Dayton. It's pretty evident, and I think that diverting those individuals to incarceration is not the answer. We know that's not the answer. It's never worked. You've heard it said already, and I'm not necessarily going to belabor the point. We are a collaborative community in Dayton. We're a communicative community, and to get anything done big, we've got to be working together. We've got to be communicating intentionally and aggressively to work with our partners. The city of Dayton by itself does not oversee the dollars that go to mental health and public health in our community. However, it is imperative that we work extremely close with our county commissioners, with ADAMIS, which stands for Montgomery County Alcohol, Drug, Addiction, and Mental Health Services, to collectively and as a unit advocate at the state level, advocate at the federal level for the increased funding that we need in this community to bolster and increase mental health services. Also, I just want to say this. Mental health doesn't necessarily start as an adult. We have to deal with our young people who are being traumatized and then end up becoming young adults with mental health issues. So that is very key to me as well, and I think, again, we would need to work directly with our schools and try to intervene and provide services so that young people in our schools do not deal with the level of mental health that will turn them into even more mentally ill adults.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the answers. Let me just say, having been involved with this the last 5 years, there's a lot more the city can be doing. There's a lot more partnerships. I like the last point about schools. We can start. I think the relationship between the city of Dayton schools, I don't know where it's at now, but maybe some of you who are on the school board know this, some of the city commissioners, but that has to improve. There has to be more dialogue. But you are probably the largest payer of the county jail, but your voices need to be heard. We have no clue as to what's going on as we look at rehabbing the jail. And I don't think the city, unless your staffers know, I think that's something that needs to be done. You need to hear on a regular basis questions and answers about what's going on in the improvement of the county jail and what kind of services they're receiving. Question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Question?
Good evening. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Dr. Heather Holland. My question for this evening is, you mentioned the overcrowding and the overpopulation of prisons and our local jail system, correct? My question to you this evening is, what do you think with regards to the preschool to prison pipeline, and how does Dayton have an effect in that?
You need to repeat the question, are you clear on that? Okay, let's start in the middle, go that way, then come this way. Start in the middle, support President. The center of the table.
Is this still on? Okay. Well, I appreciate the question. Certainly, we looked at this in the community peace relations realm all the way back in 2020 and 2021. And some things we talked about, we're certainly trying to revert back to a community police relations model. We started that process in 2020 of making students and individuals and all neighborhoods and all residents feel comfortable with the Dayton Police Department and with the community. Over the last couple of years, we've seen the city administration kind of run away from a lot of the community's recommendations. Unfortunately, we need a full-scale audit to figure out exactly where those recommendations are, where the progress is. Certainly when we talk about the preschool to prison pipeline, we're also talking about state issues, federal issues as well. We've got a lot of work to do in the city of Dayton. I don't think anyone up here can get up here and talk about a crime reduction policy or anything like that without talking about so many of the other issues that we have to tackle in our community. Generational poverty. We've got to make sure that we give every student a great education, something that's not currently happening in Dayton public schools. We've got to make sure that we are fixing the housing conditions in our community, that we are putting resources into that to make sure that neighborhoods are beautiful, development, sustainable. We've got to make sure that we have economic opportunity for all, that we are actively searching for jobs, that we are competing for those jobs, because ultimately we know where there's higher concentrations of poverty, there's generally going to be more over-policing, and we're going to see more incarceration rates. It just goes back to what I was saying earlier on the mental health issue. We have to have a full-scale approach. We have to have all hands on deck to tackle those issues, and we've also got to incorporate everything that our community partners have at their disposal as well.
Thanks for that question. It's very important. And the root cause, what is the root cause of mental illness? What is the root cause of poverty? What is the root cause of homelessness? Preschool, yes, we don't teach our young children to get along. They're always on the phone, right? They're always playing some kind of game, either at home or recess, continuously. Now, the thing is, they don't have those social skills. They don't interact with people. They don't go outside and play. And that is restricting their ability to get along with people, even at a preschool age. They don't know how to talk to people, to be kind, to be open to any type of being friendly. And so, what's the cause of this? We could talk about our culture, we could talk about our norms, we could talk about the neglect that they have from their parents. Their parents might have been raised where they don't get any attention, they don't get help with their homework, they don't interact, they're not a member of any social group, either in the church or in the community. So there's so many issues that we have to address. And let's say the kids over there going into the libraries and making a disruption of the halfway houses that are over there in Westbrook. Each one of these is an issue of young people, right? And so yes, the Dayton Board of Education, the city of Dayton, Montgomery County, and all sorts of agencies need to get involved to address this problem.
Thank you, Dr. Holland, for the question. I didn't mention that my day job, I'm the manager of chaplain services at Dayton Children's Hospital, and routinely I work with our youth, our young patients who are in the behavioral health unit. Preschool, my experience is looking at the totality of it. It really goes back to even in utero, right? if you look at our infant mortality rates and the impact that society has on our mothers, and we're also learning more about generational trauma. And so it's not preschool, it's like this whole community that's toxic now that impacts our young people. There are things we can do. Credit to Mayor Nan Whaley. When she became mayor, the first thing she did was set up a task force to look at these issues, and Preschool Promise came out of that. And the city has continued to support that, and our neighbors have continued to support that. We went last year for the renewal for the Preschool Promise and the tax levy, and we got that. So credit to the voters of Dayton for supporting our preschoolers in that way. That's probably one of the best things we've done in the generation for our young people. When Mayor Whaley did that, there were other things that needed to be done, and we just haven't done. After school and summer programming, mentors, more mentors. And we gotta weave this community back so that young people feel valued. That our community is so fractured that there's not a sense that this community cares about them. So those are some of the steps I think we can do within our ability as a city.
Thank you, Heather, for the question. I appreciate that. This is hands down a poverty issue. This is, generational cycles of social and emotional poverty that continue to add on layers. And in the world that we live in, with the complexities, add technology and the way kids receive information, how quickly they receive it, how quickly they're processing it. It is a complex issue. And again, the work, we don't have a magic wand that's going to fix all of these things all of the time. The only thing you can continue to do is to continue to drive towards better. Here at Dayton Public Schools, I see in our younger kids, I don't see a lot of, I see issues, but I don't see issues to the degree of violence. Once our kids reach a junior high level, those behaviors really start to exacerbate and start to present themselves. I think that we can certainly do a lot better work around providing community resources within the city. And those go back to our neighborhood centers and our after-school programs. But our kids also, these are young, hungry kids. And oftentimes may not want to stay in the school. Our kids want to be downtown. They enjoy the energy of being downtown because in a lot of their neighborhoods, there's not anything else to do. So we're gonna go downtown. We're gonna go to the library. We're gonna go to places where we can receive services. I think we can do better as leaders in the community, both, again, I'm going back to relationship because it becomes about establishing relationships with all of our stakeholders, with our churches, with our community partners, with mentors, and developing programs so that we can direct these kids and the families. And it's not just about the kids. It's a family issue, it's a generational issue, and we need to do better. And this can go back again to our mental health our mental health services, because a lot of these families have had such lack and they haven't been able to build capacity to face problems, so people are thinking.
Dr. Holland, is it? Thank you for the question. I think we do know, of course, in 2025 that the preschool to prison pipeline is a poverty issue. That being said, I think really simply put, the city has to invest in the organizations that do youth programming, quality, effective youth programming. I am honored to be the board chair of Omega Community Development, an organization of which I've been on the board for the last 6 years. And at Omega CDC, that is the goal, to reduce poverty in Northwest Dayton, as well as improve outcomes for children and families. And there's several other organizations, not just in West Dayton or Northwest Dayton, but throughout our community that are also dedicated to improving the lives of children and families. And I think the city must invest in those organizations. I think we have to work hand in hand with those organizations. Commissioner Fairchild did speak about the two last tax levies that you all passed. Kudos to this community for passing those tax levies to fund universal pre-K. That is making a difference. We know that's making a difference because there's data to prove it. So I thank Commissioner Fairchild for raising that point. And the last thing I'll say, a couple things I did while I was working in the mayor's office. We set a plan to actually develop a strategic plan for young people in this community. That is something that I'm really proud of that I got to work on. And second of all, we piloted a youth summit that was annual, that saw close to 400 young people every fall. We have to scale, we have to continue to do that, and we have to show young people that they're a priority in this community.
My name is Kimaru Atenza. I am the elected Montgomery County precinct captain for Dayton 5D. And my question is, what is your position on divestment in Israel in order to help to stop the genocide that is currently going on in Gaza and on the West Bank as we speak?
Start here, go down.
Well, thank you for the question, Mr. Watenza. Obviously, war is hell, right? And I don't think anyone in this room wants to continue to see innocent people lose their lives. As far as your question is particularly concerned, I think that we need to take a good look at what the city's investment and relationships are. I cannot say right now that I know what those look like at this very moment. At the very same time, I would also say that our position as city commissioners, of course, has to be how are we best spending the taxpayer dollars for residents of this community. And we have to listen and we have to hear residents and community members tell us how those dollars should be spent. And if City of Dayton taxpayer dollars are going to things that there is an outcry that we should not be supporting, then I think those are conversations that we desperately need to have.
Thank you for the question. Agree with my colleague here. War is how American culture across the country, across the world, has shown itself to be extremely violent for centuries. This is not, anything new to any of us, and we still wonder why our kids have trauma, which is interesting to me. These are complex situations in a community, as Mr. Beckham would say. It's first of all our job to make sure the city is receiving the services in the most economical way that we can to provide what our community needs. Along those lines, I think it's important to have critical conversations with the people who are providing services so that we can make sure that alignment with our community and with values and what we believe are reflecting our core values. At the end of the day, we have to do what's best for the city. We have to make difficult decisions, and that is difficult because we all feel nobody likes what's going on. Nobody likes to see people killing one another. And we certainly want to do what we can with ever partnerships to help cultivate better for them. So, these are spaces where that relationship piece comes into play very significantly, and being able to have the critical conversations to remain curious as to the whys and ask the right questions will continue to drive us towards solution. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. It's certainly a complex issue. What I would say is, Darius and I, all we've known really in our life is war. From the Gulf War to 9/11, and now what we're seeing in Ukraine and Gaza, it's a tragedy. And we as city commissioners are not going to have the authority to do a lot of the things that the federal government and the state government have the ability to do. But we do have things in the city of Dayton that we can rely on, right? We have Welcome Dayton, a tremendous program that is all about making sure that all people in our community feel welcome, that they have the opportunity to come in and find housing and find employment. We need to continue doing those types of things while also having a greater community conversation about what we can do at the local level. Certainly part of my platform is local protections for all, making sure that we have an equitable and inclusive environment. Certainly I want to bring together all community partners to continue to have this conversation so that we can make determinations with our dollars about what actually matters. Thank you.
Well, this problem is a worldwide problem. Israel has taken advantage of Palestine. They're bombing what's left of Gaza. They're driving the residents out of their houses, and now they're going to become refugees. So this whole thing has been a continually problem that is facing now Palestine, and how we're affected by it. Yes, there's federal contracts, there's state contracts, but there's also city contracts, and when there's a let for bid from the city, then we can make requirements. We can make requirements that the ones that are bidding on the contracts present in writing what their relationship is as far as equity, as far as it boils down to human rights. You know, what is it that in that contract they will ensure that they will hire people of diversity, that they will the small contractors will be offered these contracts as the same, on the same footing as these large contractors are offered. So these are some of the things that the City Commission can roll up their sleeves and get involved in. It's just very sensitive, very political, and we'd rather just not really, address it. But these are some of the things that we can do as a City Commission, and put in place safeguards for all citizens to have an equal share.
I'm going to continue to work for peace. I've had a career working for peace, primarily at the local level, trying to bring reconciliation across people who are from different backgrounds. In 2002, after 9/11, I pulled together Muslim leaders, Jewish leaders, and Christian leaders as part of my work with Greater Dayton Christian Connections, and we created the Interfaith Trialogue, and we continue to have ongoing relationship building and educational pieces to bring people in our community together. I was working with Commissioner Joseph to bring a statement calling for a ceasefire in this war with Israel and Gaza. Very early on, we were one of the first municipalities to vote that in. And to get that done, we worked with our Jewish leaders and our Muslim leaders together so that they understood what we were going to do and had their input and when we went forward. Because one of the things that's most critical in this community is that even as the world is fracturing, that we can hold our community together, and particularly relationships between our Jewish and Muslim brothers and sisters in this community at this time. We have some unique assets here in Dayton in terms of being able to advocate for peace. We have a peace museum. We have sister city relationships. We're one of 5 or 6 cities in the whole United States who have a sister city relationship with a city in the West Bank, in Palestine, and one in Israel, and trying to foster those relationships. We also have the Center for Human Rights at the University of Dayton, and we're known as a city of peace because of the work we did bringing together the end of the war in Yugoslavia. So we have opportunities to advance peace, particularly through citizen-to-citizen diplomacy, and I'm going to continue to do that work.
Thank you. We have about 20 minutes and 3 questions. Anybody have a 1-minute question? Okay, go ahead. A 1-minute answer. Yeah.
Well, it's actually two, so it's a two-parter.
We're running out of time.
So this is a two-parter. For the first question, I want to ask, in 1 minute less, outside of being city commissioner, what do you want to be remembered for? For the second question, how does what you want to be remembered for play into how you will do your job as a city commissioner? So 1 minute for the first answer, 45 seconds for the second.
Understand the question? So go ahead and answer
The second question is how, the answer to what you want to be remembered for, how does that play a role into the job you are going to do if you are to be city commissioner?
If I can ask you a question, let's try again. Come this way. Thank you.
I think I want to be remembered for two things. One, that I love my city and made the city better, and also being the dad of Maya. That's my 14-year-old daughter. What was the second part of the question? How does that play a role in what you do as city commissioner? Yeah, when I look at my role as city commissioner and my role as manager at Dayton Children's Hospital as the chaplain, people wonder how those two things go together. And it's because it really is about me living out my values and my faith. And so whether it's city commission or being a chaplain, it's about applying my theology into places where people are hurting. I got involved in the city commission because I could see brokenness. I can remember working across race and class lines when I was in mandatory busing and thinking about some of my classmates who haven't had as fortunate a life as mine, and trying to make this community one that works for everyone and that everyone has an opportunity like I've had to make a real life for myself.
Well, that's a good question. I would like to be remembered as the peacekeeper, to bring the different parts and fractions of the city commission together so they can work together to address the issues of our neighborhoods in an equitable, fair way, so that all our neighborhoods get a fair shake. It doesn't matter if they have a treasury of $30,000 or they have a treasury of $5, that when they make an application where they should get assistance to make the application correctly, that they can qualify for the $10,000 and not have to have somebody in their community put up that $10,000. A $10,000 grant should be a $10,000 grant. So those are one of the things that I would be looking at, that the city works on its own, address its own inequity, that we make it fair for all citizens to qualify for this grant money, and that then all of the neighborhoods get a piece of the pie, to get their tax-paid dollars back. There are senior repair for houses, but it's just a sliver of 5 neighborhoods right now. Let's expand that so that all of the senior citizens from all the neighborhoods qualify for the free repair of houses, of their houses. That should go all around to all the different types of programs that the city provides, grant programs that the city provides now, so that all of the neighborhoods qualify for these programs, not just part.
Thank you. The first thing, what I want to be remembered for is, 1, being a family man, and then 2, being a fighter for the little guy or the little girl. For the consumers, the workers, the tenants, and the small business owners. It feels like right now at the state and local level, and even oftentimes at the local level, they're getting their teeth kicked in. I want to fight for them every single day. That's what I try to do in my law practice, and that's certainly what I want to do as a city commissioner. How will I do it? Being an independent voice on the commission, right? I don't share an allegiance to any party on the commission. I don't blindly follow what the city manager recommends. I want to review every single ordinance, every single policy that comes before me. I want to make an informed decision based on what I believe in and what I think is best for the community. I want to focus on people, neighborhoods, and local protections for vulnerable and marginalized groups. I did that work with the Human Relations Council. I do that work in my law practice now, and I want to continue to do that work with the City Commission.
Thank you. Fun question. I show up to do anything the way I do everything. It's with my whole heart, and I'm fully invested. I've shown up my whole life like that. I am a product of a truck driver and a school bus driver. I started working when I was 10 years old. It was pretty easy when I had that paper route to understand that that paper route was about more than just myself. It was about serving community. And I learned that through understanding and meeting people where they are. Of course I can put your paper in your mailbox. Of course I can put it in the house out back. Of course I can collect at 10:30. I mean, I'm service. I'm here to service our city, to become better. I have built myself and my life through my service to create experience, to use the access to resources that I have to do and make better. And that's what I want to be remembered for, other than Coco and Hector's mom. Thank you.
This is a beautiful question, so I thank you for asking it. I want to be remembered as a son, a brother, but particularly as somebody that's committed to Dayton. So many of my peers after college and through college, they left. A lot of other young, talented people I know left this city. I stayed because I'm committed to Dayton. And I served in each and every way I could, from the mayor's office to various boards to buying my home and living in a Dayton neighborhood, right? I am committed to this community as a young person. So I want to be remembered as being committed to this community, but also committed to equity. I was extremely fortunate to have incredible parents. They raised my brothers and I with a strong foundation, with a belief in faith, and a real commitment to being excellent black men for family and for community. And I believe that if so many of our other families and just children in general had the opportunity to figure out who they are, right, and really have the resources to become whatever young man, woman, boy, or girl they want to be. If we really balance the playing field and created more equity in the city, I think we would see those results, and more young people would choose to stay here and invest their talents back in Dayton. So thank you again for the question.
Respectful of time, I'm going to give you 1 minute to answer the next two questions. We're going to give you a chance to do closing arguments, okay? So you ask a question, give 1 minute, timers 1 minute. We'll start in the middle, go to your right, and come back, okay? Go ahead, ask the question.
Kathleen Galt, 7-year member of the Clergy Community Coalition, where the group busted our humps to try to save Good Sam. Everybody should read this article that's WISO just printed. Montgomery County has highest rate of maternal pregnancy-related deaths in Ohio. I'm just going to read this little brief sentence. Over the past 9 years, this is from the article, over the past 9 years, Montgomery County's rate of maternal mortality is the highest in the state at 19.7 deaths for every 100,000 live births versus a state average of 14.7. So we have asked the city, 2 different mayors, Mayor Mims, Mayor Whaley. You've been down there a lot when we've been down there begging. We asked the city commissioners, we asked the mayors, we asked the city manager to give us funding to do a community health care assessment as well as a hospital impact study. We asked it from the very beginning. We've asked it 4 more times. To take it out of our hands, to take it out of the city's hands, and have professionals determine whether Northwest Dayton needs more healthcare services. So, what would you do about healthcare services in Dayton? I would encourage you all to read this report. Everybody in this audience, mortality rates in, specifically they bring up Good Samaritan in the report. So it's a statewide report. What would you do about health care?
So the question is, what would you do about health care and knowing what's happening in Good Sam, right? Okay, start there and go down and come back.
Thank you, Kathleen, for the question. I've certainly been following this discussion. I live right down the road from the Good Samaritan site. I know that the Clergy Community Coalition has been advocating for a public hospital. And let me say, I think a community hospital is great. To the extent that it's financially feasible and economically feasible, it's something that I would certainly try to support. What I would want to know is what the study says about the economics of it. So to answer your question, I would be in support of the study, launching that study, seeing if it is financially feasible. I know there's some work to do on that, and then bringing all those interested parties together to learn more about the plan, and then certainly to see what that study says, to see if we can adopt some type of community proposal here in the city of Dayton.
Great question. Yes, we do need to study, take a study, and probably through our healthcare providers right now. There's Kettering Health Network, there's Premier Health, and then there's the Children's Hospital. And we should try to bring them all together, along with the county, Montgomery County Health Division or Department, and work on trying to find out what it is, where our services, our health services are lacking, where do we are falling short, and then come together with a plan of action as to how to provide better health services, better hospital services for all of the residents of the city of Dayton. And I think we can accomplish this. We have to start out with a study and go from there. But it's something that has been long overdue for the residents of the city of Dayton.
Up front, I have to say that because of my position at Dayton Children's Hospital and the fact that I'm a commissioner, I cannot speak directly. I have to recuse myself from issues around the hospital, so I want to say that. But within the question, talked about infant mortality. Having talked with doulas and midwives who work with women, the number one thing that they said that these women need is stable housing. That's something that the city can do. We can work to provide stable housing, dedicated housing for these young women who are pregnant, so that they have at least that stability in their life. And that's what we've heard from them. The second thing we can do is look at a guaranteed basic income. And I think the model out in Stockton is interesting. They use philanthropic dollars to be able to provide for that. And I think it's worth piloting in Dayton, housing and guaranteed basic income for our women who are pregnant.
Doing good.
Thank you. Again, we're gonna go back to poverty. The question was two-pronged. One is about facilities, and the other is about infant mortality. Infant mortality for me centers around education and poverty, and working with our community partnerships to make sure that they are in our schools, educating our kids, working with our school partners to make sure that we have programs that are really educating our kids and families. I mean, we talk about these sensitive issues about how we can or how we can't have these difficult conversations with our children, but we need to do better work around that. Around the resources, we need to strategically always make sure that our community has access to the resources that they need, healthcare and all of the above. On the healthcare end of it, honestly, relationships, working with our partners, working with Premier, with Children's, with Kettering, to make sure we're doing everything that we can to cultivate spaces and relationships so that those agencies and organizations are in the places where they need to be. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think in regards to health in our city, the city of Dayton as an organization very much has to act in the spaces where there is capacity, where there is the ability to influence outcomes. Specifically, when we think about infant mortality, I agree with Commissioner Fairchild that we have to do a better job of supporting mothers. I actually hosted, I had the pleasure, thank you to Dayton Metro Library, interviewing the former mayor of Stockton, California, Michael Tubbs, who came to Dayton and spoke about his Mayors for Guaranteed Incomes pilot. In Stockton, what they did was essentially funded philanthropically. So it wasn't taxpayer dollars, it wasn't government funding. They got philanthropic donors to support a pilot program where they were supporting mothers. So I agree with Commissioner Fairchild that that's an innovative program that's worth taking a look at. The other thing I'll say is we've got some data on the feasibility to build a hospital as the city of Dayton. That data has been produced. And I think that we have to just continue to look for additional data to study how we're doing as a city in regards to health, but also what's possible. Thank you.
So we have 5 minutes. If you're nice, President Ford may give us a little more, but last question, 1 minute to answer the question, okay? There may not be closing arguments, depending on how nice President Ford is. If he's telling you no, you got to be 1 minute dead on. That's it.
Good evening, everyone. My question is around the Human Relations Council. It is honestly not nearly as strong as it once was. In fact, I forget sometimes that HRC exists, just to be honest. And so I would really love to hear your plan around HRC and some initiatives or whatever. It just, you forget it's here, and I really would like to hear your plan for HRC. Thank you.
One of the biggest things we need to do with HRC is to create some more independence for it. And since I've been on the commission, we've seen that independence eroded. If you were, it should be that if you are a member of HRC, you should be able to have a louder voice than you had before you became a member of HRC. And unfortunately, it seems like people who join HRC are pushed to be muted. And so I would work again to try to establish some independence, because HRC really is supposed to be kind of the conscience of the city, and we haven't created the space to be able to do that.
Thanks for the question. Yes, the HRC is currently reports to the City Commission office. So the boss of HRC is the City Commission. So I think there should be some independence of the HRC, so it's not linked directly to a political body. That's one thing. Then secondly, there needs to be more community initiatives, more involvement of the neighborhoods, of all these different human rights groups to put together identify what the problems are. There could be tenant problems, could be housing problems, could be housing affordability, it could be a lack of services, mental health issues that we were talking about, drug addiction, homelessness. All these things are equity, and those are the things that HRC can get involved with.
Thank you for that question. This is an issue that's very near and dear to my heart. I was employed with the Human Relations Council, and I was one of those voices that was muted. So my plan, support it with our dollars and with our initiatives. Back in 2023, the city hosted a community forum on budgeting, where the community learned that the budget of the HRC is about $1 million. The community put their dollars where they thought that should be, and that number came out to $17 million. Is that feasible? Maybe not necessarily, but certainly they are underfunded and understaffed on a regular basis, and they do lose the ability to do what they need to do. Initiatives, I think there's a whole host of issues that the HRC can work on. One is enacting new local protections through the ordinances that they enforce: housing, employment, public accommodations, and credit discrimination. Looking at new protections. The Know Your Rights campaign was great. We need to go into the schools and educate students about what their rights are when they interact with police. Working with the independent accountability auditor, that was supposed to happen. I don't know where we are with that. And lastly, they should do landlord-tenant issues, because that's important.
Thank you. It would appear as though that this Human Relations Council is certainly a conduit that could help us solve a lot of these problems that we talk about, either via education or poverty. So I would do what I could to make sure that there was alignment there, priorities with need, to make sure, and then identifying people, problems, and then continuing to drive for the change that's needed. It seems as though it's a little vague in terms of what it actually does, and even from a community perspective. So making it more accessible and providing more education around the services that it does serve, so that our community members that need those services are aware that it exists, so they can get to it and get the help that they need.
Thank you for the question. I recognize that not everybody knows what HRC is or does in this room, so just really quick, HRC is the Human Relations Council of the City of Dayton. It is responsible for enforcing civil rights protections, providing technical assistance to minority-owned, women-owned, small business. Okay, so now that we've established that, I agree with what all of the other candidates have said tonight. I think HRC has to continue to be supported. I would be very interested in meeting with the board. HRC has an independent board by themselves. I would be interested in listening and hearing what the board has to say about the ways in which we can further support and bolster the services that HRC provides.
Just real quick for everybody, I asked for grace because I thought it's important. This is a very important conversation. So I asked for 15 minutes of grace, and which means that I want to hear from one of our youth leaders inside this community. I know she has a question, so we want to get to her question, but we want to be very succinct in our answers. And then, in addition to that, when 8:10 comes, we ask for grace at 8:15. We need to make certain that if we need to conversate, let's take our conversation outside so that the person who's going to close this building up can go home with their family. Thank you.
Thank you. You kind of spoke on this earlier, Darius. With numerous universities within a 30-mile radius, such as the Wilberforce University, City State University, and others, Dayton has a steady pipeline of young talent. However, retaining graduates and attracting young professionals who are new to the area remains a challenge. How do you plan to attract and retain young professionals who are new to Dayton?
How do we get the questions, go this way, then back that way? 1 minute, and we'll wrap it up.
Deja, it's a phenomenal question. Would love to talk to you about it afterwards, but also right now I think what we've got to do is we have to have additional intern and externship programs for Dayton Public School students to work within the city of Dayton, to get introduced to different fields, to get introduced to different professions. For example, I've worked in my time with the city of Dayton with 2 Macintosh scholars. Brilliant individuals who I would hire in a heartbeat. My complaint has always been there's only one of them. We need more Macintosh scholars who get full rides to the University of Dayton and other universities, and we need to incorporate them into the organization with the city of Dayton because they provide diversity of thought, diversity of experience, and give us a different outlook on a number of important topics in the city of Dayton. I would like to see scholarship programs, new career counseling opportunities, and more incorporation, more partnership between the city of Dayton and Dayton Public Schools.
Thank you for your question, Deja. Continue doing what we're doing, investing in our neighborhoods. I mean, young people wanting to live in downtown Dayton, wanting to continue to invest in their community, live here, bring their businesses here, send their kids to school here. Starts with safety, security, our housing, making sure that our neighborhoods are safe, making sure our schools are as strong as they can be, and continuing to invest in the businesses that they may bring here. Our larger business community that they work for, and also then the businesses that they may want to create. So thank you.
Dave, phenomenal question, appreciate it. Really quick, I was an AmeriCorps member 7 years ago. That's how I got my start at the city of Dayton, and clearly I stayed. So it worked, right? So we do need to create those pathways for young people to get into jobs, stay in those jobs, learn and upskill. The other thing is we need to go directly to our colleges and universities. There's no reason why we should not be having regular, routine, programming opportunities with Central State, with Wilberforce, to figure out how to retain those graduates. And on the front end, we need to be doing the same thing with Dayton Public Schools so that we can get those young people into the jobs of tomorrow that are coming. We know Joby Aviation is going to be in Dayton. That's several hundred jobs, right? We know Sierra Nevada continues to build in Dayton. We need these programs to reach young people so that they have jobs when they graduate.
That's a very good question. Yes, we have Sinclair College, Central State, Wilberforce, University of Dayton, just so many universities, right? And so many school systems. So we need to kind of like come together and create opportunities for young people. So let's say they don't want to go to university and do a 2-year or 4-year college. Maybe they want to go into trade. Maybe they want to go into technical, to acquire technical skills for these type of jobs that are over at the airport. We haven't prepared our young people for those type of technical jobs. And, you know, computer skills, trade skills. So that's what we need to do along with college. So we have to have like an interconnected resources and share our information. So the colleges need to share information, our different school systems need to share information, so we have this, we're preparing our young people for the future.
Thank you for the question, and I don't disagree with what's been said. Some of the things that have been said are in place, and as you know, some of our young people are successful. Unfortunately, they don't stay, they leave. And credit to Darius for staying, and Jacob and myself and others who have been successful and could go and came back. But the heart, like, and there's places where it's not working, and we gotta look and find those broken places and fix them. But really, at the heart of your question is having real leadership with a vision for the city that is attractive and compelling, that wants people to be a part of something different. And it has to be authentic. That's what young people desire so much, more than anything, is authentic leaders and authentic words and authentic actions. And too often, politicians don't deliver that. And I want to be part of a team that brings authentic leadership and has a clear vision that draws people here and excites people to be here and to be a part of something that they can contribute and make a difference and see themselves being a part of Dayton.
Let's thank all the candidates for coming tonight. Keeping in mind what President Forward said, it's 8:02, so let's respect Grace for having us. Thank you all for being here. It's my understanding there are 5 candidates.